And now I know that all these are all people who I know and they don't know me. And that's completely worthless in my network, so thank you for educating me on this great information. It's good to be with you all today. As I said, my name is Brad McGinity, and I'm the VP of Sales at 15.5. Quick show of hands to get a little bit of a sense, and you guys should look across the room as we do this too. Who has like a sales cycle, or not a sales cycle, average contract value that's less than $5,000 on average? Okay, so maybe 10%, not even that much. Between like $5,000 and $20,000 on average. Okay, so there's some mid-market folks. And then let's say 20 to 100,000 on average. Cool, and then above 100K? Nice. All right, so we got a pretty good mix of everybody here. So at 15.5, most of our stuff is kind of in the mid-market range. We have a self-service business, which kind of runs on autopilot with a lot of marketing and customer support and a fantastic product. I lead a sales team whose average deal size is around $15,000 to $20,000. It'll creep up into the $50,000 to $100,000 range before we see organic expansion take over and grow those accounts up a lot bigger. So that's a little bit of the context for the type of sale that I'm dealing with today to give you all that, and then of course for you all to know who your peers are in the room. So today we're talking about shortening your sales cycles, right? We all know time is the enemy. The longer that it takes to get a deal done, the less money that we make, the less money that our companies make. And today's slides, unlike Brandon's, I gave you the book. The slides are super ugly. That is on purpose to be incredibly tactical for you. I really want you to get things out of this that you can actually go do, even if you don't remember them. Maybe you'll write them down. We can go from there. Oh, I don't have the clicker. It's on the table. Which button? The one that's worn out? There's a backwards arrow and a non-arrow. All right. Okay, we don't care about this anymore. We did that. Okay. Great stats from Corporate Executive Board. If you guys have read the Challenger sale, actually this is from the Challenger customer. There are now 5.4 people involved in every buying decision. I'd love to know who 0.4 is, but they're involved. You cause some of the problems because you don't do enough follow-up. Generally as salespeople, right, the stats are that we follow up a couple times. We need to be following up like a minimum of 5 times just to get somebody to respond. I wish that was only true when we were prospecting into somebody who was a cold prospect, but it's also true when you are working in an active deal cycle with people oftentimes, unfortunately. So the total effect is that the sales cycle has lengthened by 22% over the last 5 years. And that number is now like a couple of years old. So I'm sure the 22% is even higher and worse than it used to be. So at 15.5, oftentimes the momentum will slow for us after the demo. Typically, it's fairly easy to get people into the demo. They want to see what we actually have to offer. And then after that, they will oftentimes go silent. We might get them a little bit farther in the process, get proposals on the board, and then, of course, things can slow there. And then we have this interesting thing where it's typically pretty easy to get the initial stakeholder to really like 15.5. And then what they want to do, due to the nature of our performance management software, is that they want to then go to all of their other executive team members and colleagues and get all of those people bought in so that everybody's going to use 15.5 together. And while that is happening, we can lose a lot of momentum because our initial champion loves it, but they aren't as effective at selling 15.5 to the rest of their peers. So I'm not going to do like a show of hands, but just take a moment and think through whether or not your deals tend to stall at more of a qualification stage, more of a closing stage, more of a selling stage. Just think about that because we're going to give you tactics for each of those. So just think through your deals for a moment. Where do they tend to stall? All right, I think the blank stares are over. Okay, we are going to talk a couple of fundamentals first. This isn't really technique stuff. This is just what everybody ought to be doing. If you are in this room and you've had any kind of decent sales management training, hopefully you are already doing these things. Always schedule the next call while you are on the current call. Following up and saying, later on, I'll shoot you an email, we'll get something scheduled is a terrible idea. We all know this. Do it while you're on the current call. There always needs to be a next step. The worst thing that can happen is for the person to say, all right, great, we'll think about it and we'll let you know. They're not going to think about it. They're not going to let you know. They might think about it, but they're not going to let you know. Right? So there always needs to be a next step. And so one of our jobs as salespeople is to invent next steps, if for no other reason than to continue the relationship and to continue the dialogue together. We're going to give you a bunch of stuff at the end here of stuff that we've just made up as potential next steps, because you've got to have something to keep the conversation going. You got to be willing to walk away. Right? We lose a lot of time because we spend time on bad deals, and it's our fault. It's not even the customer's fault. So this is an interesting one. Listen to your customer and align to their time frame. If your customer comes in and immediately tells you, look, we're 9 months out, you're not going to shorten that to 2 months. Don't waste a ton of time in that first 2 months knowing it's a 9-month sales cycle and that's what they've told you. This doesn't mean don't try to shorten it. You should try to turn 9 months into 6 months, but be realistic about how long it's going to take. We're dealing with Bank of America right now. The guy from the get-go has said, this is going to take us 9 to 12 months. He's been accurate, unfortunately. Know the difference between an opportunity and somebody who's just looking around. We all know BANT, budget authority, need, and time frame. Our friend over here, Taylor Knapp, came up with PUMA at one of my old companies, Windsor Circle, which was pain, urgency, money, and authority. It's the idea that if they don't have real pain, they're not going to buy anything, right? So you have to be able to know and identify that pain. All right, so those are fundamentals. Okay, we're going to cover our next 3 slides in each of these 3 areas. We're going to start with qualification. We'll then move into kind of the middle of the sales cycle, and then we'll go down to the red stage where we're actually trying to close our deal. So qualification. Told you they were ugly slides. All right, so this is fascinating. 61% of, B2B marketers are sending 61% of their leads to sales. We all know as salespeople, we're complaining about our marketing colleagues sending us a bunch of crap. We only like 27% of them. Right, so we can do more with automation to improve our qualification processes so that we as sales representatives are dealing with less clutter. The more clutter that we have going on, the less that we are able to focus on our really good deals, and we're going to end up spending time, which is going to ultimately slow our deals down, and we won't be able to think as strategically about how to get the right deals across the finish line. This is one of my favorite ones because time frame is always a part of somebody's qualification process. At 15.5, we use a qualification process called SHITE is our acronym for it. I'll get crass here for a second. The joke is that if it ain't shit, it ain't shite, or if it ain't shite, it ain't shit. So the time frame part is a really interesting one, right? So you ask your customer, like, what's your time frame for doing this? They're like, 6 weeks. And so now your SDR is telling your account executive, like, they're going to do something in 6 weeks. Well, what happens if they don't buy in 6 weeks? Nothing. How important is 6 weeks? It's not. Like, you're just getting 6 weeks so that you can get your qualification and move on to the next step. But the customer isn't really invested in that time frame. Right, so we've got to get underneath of it and figure out, does the customer really care about these deadlines that they've given us? Do they actually care about the pain that they're telling us that they're experiencing? The social contract, Sandler sales. It's a classic one, and it's a really important one at the beginning of the relationship to stop and say, hey, here's how this process is going to go. Here are the typical steps that we see in the evaluation process for our customers. Here are the commitments that I'm going to make to you as a salesperson. Are you going to make commitments back to me as a customer? And if they're not willing to agree to those things, then you know you're probably wasting your time on a customer. Those things are obviously going to evolve as you go through the process, but having that upfront social contract is a really important part of it. Know and attack the biggest concerns up front. There's a reason that I don't own a Toyota Tacoma pickup truck. Because I have 5 children. I don't have 5 children, I have 3 children. I have a family of 5. We don't fit in a Toyota Tacoma, right? That's a big concern for me. And so I'm never gonna go buy a Toyota Tacoma pickup truck as much as I might like them. So if a sales representative at a Toyota dealership is gonna attack the biggest concerns up front, they're gonna realize that I need like a Toyota Sequoia or something like that, and not waste their time sending me on test drives of a Tacoma. So if you can identify what their biggest concerns are up front, it gives you much more leverage throughout the rest of the deal process. It kind of relates to this next one of understanding the most important part of your value proposition for that customer. So you know the thing that you're going to hammer home again and again and again. At 15.5, we offer software that helps with people managing and tracking goals. We manage a review process. We offer software to help managers and employees have a one-on-one together. And we do this thing called a weekly check-in, which is like a questionnaire the employee fills out for 15 minutes and the manager spends 5 minutes to review and respond. That's 4 very different things. They're all very complementary, but if I understand exactly what your needs are, I'm going to continue to invest more time on that part of the value proposition, which is going to get you more excited and increase the likelihood of a fast closing deal. There's this idea of a capability statement where at the end of your discovery call, at the end of your demo, you just stop and you very clearly say to your customer, hey, we can help you. The things that you want to do, we do them. And we call it the capability statement. And so you just want to be incredibly definitive so that your customer walks away from the call without any reservations or hesitations about whether or not you can actually help them because you've been incredibly clear and definitive. It takes 15 seconds. Hey, before we wrap up the call, I just want to say to you very clearly, we can help. The problems that you're describing that you have, we help customers solve all the time. When can we have our next call together? How's Tuesday at 3 o'clock? Right, so delivering that capability statement in a very clear, very firm way leaves them with no equivocations about whether or not you're a vendor that they should keep in the evaluation process. All right, so this is all up in qualification. Some of this is a little bit on the SDR side, some of it's on the account executive side when you're doing discovery. All right, so now we're into the yellow stage, we're selling. To me, the biggest thing is to focus on the highest leverage objections. Right? This is the idea of understanding their biggest concerns and attacking those ones up front. If you can know what the deal killers are and you can resolve the deal killers, your likelihood of getting the deal done and getting it done fast are going to increase. But if you wait to resolve those deal killers at the end, after you've taken care of a bunch of nice-to-haves, all you've done is drag out the process, waste your time, potentially waste the customer's time. So we want to know those things up front. We want to attack them up front. We want to try to get them resolved up front because it just increases our leverage. So we have this concept that we call the path to closure. It's essentially saying, what are the things that you need to do, customer, to get to a place where you can say yes? It gives us a joint checklist of activities that we're working through. The path to closure is going to include things like resolving specific objections that they might have. It might be making sure they have budget internally. It might be they've got to go through legal and get through a procurement process. And so understanding, and we'll go down to the bottom one here. Maybe it's on a different slide. Oftentimes your customers, it's going to be on the closing slide. A lot of times your customers don't actually know how to buy things inside of their organization. It's amazing how often I find people who don't actually know how to buy stuff. It might be because they're new to their company. It might be because they're just in a big bureaucratic organization. It might be that they've been there for 5 years, but they've never been tasked with buying anything before, and they literally don't know the steps. So when you're talking about path to closure with your customer, it reminds them of like, crap, I don't know how to buy something, and I better go figure that out. All right, so understanding path to closure is really important and helpful. This is a big one. We often will have a demo where we get the decision maker who floats in. Finally, we got the decision maker on the call. They're sometimes an active participant. They're oftentimes more of a laid back, less active participant, and your kind of main champions or evaluators are the ones who are pretty consistently involved in the conversation. We get off the demo, and we follow up with our main point of contact, and we never follow up with the decision maker. We don't follow up with the decision maker ever. And then what happens is we get a couple of weeks down the line, our champion has gone dormant on us, or we're in the middle of a negotiation, and obviously we want to negotiate with the decision maker, and we have no relationship with the decision maker because they showed up on one call, and we have not done anything to maintain the relationship with our decision maker. So when you get introduced to anybody at a company, you need to begin to build an individual, unique relationship with that person. And it doesn't matter if you think they're not important to your buying process, because at some point, somebody's going to go silent. It could be the day that they're supposed to sign your contract, and suddenly they're not responding to your emails, and you got to go find that like marketing coordinator who you didn't think mattered at all to be like, hey, where's Sarah? Your VP of marketing is not responding to me anymore, like marketing coordinator, like where did she go, right? So everybody is important. And when we send emails that are always sent to large groups of people, nobody thinks that they have to respond to your email because they're all waiting for their colleague to respond to your email. And so we want to send individual emails to individual people that continue to keep relationships alive. A really important way to do this with decision makers, because you don't always have action items for these people, but you want to keep them apprised of what's going on. You want to continue to build the relationship. So what we will oftentimes do with key decision makers is just send them a weekly update on Fridays that just says, hey, here's the current state of the evaluation process. Here are the current concerns that your team is working through. And then it will always include a bottom set that says, action items for you. And oftentimes it'll just say, none, you're off the hook this week, which is really important because it establishes credibility. So then when you say that you do need them to do something, they know that it legitimately matters because you've consistently told them that they were off the hook and they didn't need to do anything. So you're not crying wolf in that process. So we like to do this with this every Friday. Here's just the status of what's going on this project that you've said is important as an executive. All right, working backwards from the date of a key milestone. This is a pretty common one. Hey, when do you need to have that live by? Like, hey, we're doing a T-Rex summit today. So we're going to work backwards from this date in order to make sure that we have the evaluation process done, the implementation done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Pretty common one. I like this one. We think of our customers going through a funnel, right? They start with, discovery calls, they move to demos, we move to proposals, we go into negotiation and contract reviews, and then they sign. And for us, or for the customer, they're thinking about like, shoot, I got a family of 5 people and I've got 3 children. Are we going to fit into a Toyota Tacoma? That's the most important thing for them. It's a checklist of different things that they have to check off. And so it's not a specific funnel. And so if you can understand what are the items on the customer's checklist and go through those items on the checklist in any order, which may or may not align to your funnel, you're going to move through it in a much faster, cleaner way. All right, define your post-demo strategy as a team. We'll talk about that on our last slide. Okay, so now we're in the red stage. We went through qualification, went through selling, now we're into closing. Again, ugly slide, I apologize, but hopefully it's helpful. So I like this part of defining the specific objections. So you should get to a place where you can say to your customer, hey, at this point, one of the things, what are your concerns that are preventing you from signing up with 15.5? They should be able to name 2 or 3 things. You say, great, so just to clarify, if those 3 things were resolved, and I'm not even promising I can resolve them, but if they were resolved, you'd sign, right? Right. They got a checklist. It's a simple set of 2, 3, 4, could be 10 different things, but your customer has been very clear around these are the things that are preventing me from signing up. If the customer can't give you that list of objections, they still haven't made it through enough of the items on their checklist. They're not thinking clearly and articulately enough about your product in order to be able to move forward. All right, ask for the sale. This is pretty classic. Dale Carnegie's gives us 5 different methods: the direct ask, the alternate choice, the minor point, the next step, and the opportunity. My favorite one is just the direct ask. Hey, looks like we've made it through those 3 objections that we talked about, so you're ready to sign up, right? Right. Executive outreach to your decision maker. So we will very commonly have 15.5 CEO or one of the sales reps might ask me to shoot an outreach to the decision maker. Maybe we don't have a relationship with the decision maker. Maybe our contact has gone silent. Maybe the decision maker has gone silent. Having somebody else reach out to this customer, and oftentimes it's just, hey, wanted to introduce myself, give an executive level contact. Do you have any questions or concerns? Please feel free to reach out to me and let you know. At 15.5, we get the opportunity to eat our own dog food. And so I'll oftentimes as well say, I'm a very active user of 15.5 as an executive. Maybe I can give you some tips on what kind of value it's offered to me. Not everybody gets the opportunity to do that. The proactive customer reference is incredibly helpful. We've got a couple of different customers where we basically have a template of things that they have said about us. And we will go to them and say, hey, we want to send out our templated reference again. This person may call you. Are you good with that? And they'll say yes, and then we'll send it over to them again. We'll have ghostwritten it to make it personalized to that customer. It allows our existing customer to basically copy and paste. They send it off to our customer. It's a proactive reference. Not everybody is willing to do proactive references, but you're going to have some customers that love you that will. Limit to 1 round of legal edits before, or via email before forcing a customer call. You just tell them at the get-go, like, hey, we're going into legal. We'll go through 1 round of revisions, and then we're getting lawyers on the phone, because that thing can drag and drag. Coordinate a future date for kickoff meetings and buy plane tickets. If you got plane tickets purchased, your customer's going to feel guilty if they don't get it done in time. All right, we talked about, does your customer actually know how to buy things? All right, these are some post-demo strategies. They come in 2 forms. One is built around meetings, and the other is what we just call momentum drivers. They're not meetings, they're just things you can do. One of my favorites, and I'm going to call out Taylor again, he had this email of this photograph of him jumping off of a desk, like giving a karate kick. And he would send it off just saying like, hey, I'm excited that you guys are going to become a customer of Windsor Circle. And he would get responses from this. Like people would have gone silent for like 2 weeks, and he sends his emails like, hey, we're excited that you're going to potentially come on board with us. And they would they would feel compelled to respond. I have no idea why, but it worked. So there's a lot of different things in here. Again, part of this point is you always have a next step. And so if you don't have a clear next step because you've already sent the proposal, you've already done the meeting with your customer success manager, you've already talked about pricing, and you just need to invent something, hopefully here's a couple of ideas that you can take advantage of. All right. I got 2 minutes left, which is probably time for one question because I'm too verbose.
I have to ask the first question, which is, I have to call you out on this. You really beat Michael Phelps? Is that true? If we called your mom live right now, John, where's John over there?
So he
Let's
was
call
5.
your mom and see if
He
that's
was
true.
5. I was 8.
Ah.
And I will say the next year we were all in level 1 together, and we all went to level 2, but he went to level 4.
Questions for Brad?
Yeah, go ahead.
PUMA. What's the acronym PUMA again?
Pain, urgency, money, authority. Yep. It redefines need in I think a really important way. There's one thing, it's one to need something, it's another real pain that you got to go solve. Right here?
You mentioned website typo in the next slide.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You literally go on their website and find a typo. And you send them a screenshot saying, hey, this is misspelled on your website. You probably want to go fix it. And they're always like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for telling us. That's one to get reactivate somebody who's gone silent, right? And of course, it's, by the way, and where the hell is our contract? Christoph.
Your weekly emails, so when you have a deal like the those going out every week, and what kind of info are you putting if it's sort of
Yeah, so for something like Bank of America, we're talking about like a 9-month sales cycle, we're not sending those things every week, right? That might be once a month, right? So it's a little bit appropriate to the length of the sales cycle. When you've got one that's going like 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that, sending that weekly touch base. And it's essentially, our 3 sections are, here's the status of where we are in the evaluation process. Here are the things that your team is working through right now, that your team is assigned to do, that I'm assigned to do on the 15.5 side. And here are your action items as a decision maker.
All right, let's hear it for Brad.
All right.